You won't believe what happened. A group of people walked in without hesitation, led by the charged general, setting sail again under the escort of fighters. According to route analysis, General's target this time was the Titan 19 Piamat hidden in the Arctic Ocean. Here, Steele followed Little Bean to a water area, saw its surface, and scolded Little Bean for not spotting the danger. He deliberately jumped in, pretending to be a little beast, and Steele glanced over, shrugged, then hopped in the lake for a rinse. While Little Bean sipped water and kept an eye out, an unidentified creature quickly swam over. That little guy suddenly powered up and ended up swallowed into a terrifying fish party. Let's face it, it's the same brother. The old guy pulled Little Bean to a place where the water reached up to his legs. Little Bean thought he could keep an eye on Steele, but as soon as he stood up, the majestic dragon's phone rolled under his feet. Gazing at the war god like Steele, Little Bean completely abandoned other thoughts, and when he strolled over, seeing Little Bean was as skinny as a twig, he casually tossed. With absolute power, Steele completely ignored Little Bean's antics. The military submarine arrived at Piamat territory, still thinking General wasn't around, but suddenly, a bright beam appeared. General was right next to the submarine, declaring war on the Piamat inside, and the military submarine had reached Piamat territory. They thought General was gone. Then a bright beam appeared. General stood by the sub, declaring war on Piamat. The military submarine reached Piamat territory, still thinking General wasn't nearby, only to see a sudden bright beam. The military submarine had reached Piamat territory. Little did they know that the military submarine was already there. The military sub reached Piamat territory. Without incident, it was sliced into pieces under Godzilla's roar. Yet General had no intention of leaving, instead heading straight into Piamat's lair, while Jaya and her crew continued downstream. Nobody expected to encounter humans in this place. The captain, upon seeing Jaya, didn't attack but instead led them to the Evi Trout village. Everyone was stunned upon seeing the giant crystal in the center, and at the top, Aaron spotted several energy vortices. Soon, the queen emerged from the center, gesturing to bring Jaya before her. Two held hands, confirming kinship. The queen welcomed them, but all were captivated by the energy core. It turned out the earlier distress signal was sent by the Evi tribe. Through the queen's ritual, everyone entered a relic space. According to the records, Aaron learned there was an evil entity controlling the blood demon, wanting to hand it over to her. Not wanting Earth to plunge into an ice age, the queen believed they had to awaken Musra, the beloved. Jai came from Kuala Island as an Ifi tribeswoman. Only she could complete this task, while Steele had made it to a hellish terrain. Crossing a bridge made of bones, Steele and Little Bean were there, smiling all the way. Jai was from Kuala Island as an Ifi tribeswoman. Only she could accomplish this task. Meanwhile, Steele had arrived at a hellish terrain. Walking through a bridge made of bones, Steele and Little Bean ventured inside. However, the instruments before Steele left her stunned. All her kin were laboring, vastly different from her imagined scene. Soon, Steele reached the field where a member, overwhelmed, dropped a stone, creating a comical scene. One of the monitors came up and kicked. Witnessing his people enslaving their own, Steele wasted no time in speaking up. Steele stepped up, dropping the weapon, and helped the little buddy up. The monitor angrily approached, pointing at him. Steele heard the complaints and threw a punch, putting her in her place of strength. This ruckus successfully angered the Scar King. As the Scar King jumped before him, everyone bowed their heads in fear. He circled around Steele, prying his mouth open, revealing the newly fitted big steel duck. This guy actually equipped such a thing, then turned and spotted Little Bean again. Concerned, the father blocked to protect his child, expecting the Scar King to hesitate. Instead, he got even fiercer. A swift kick sent the father tumbling into the lava. Little Bean's heart shattered, while the provoked Steele seethed with rage. Scar King, seeing the situation, flung his weapon out as he prepared to attack. The captions read, "The solar showdown between the two mighty kings commences, with Gangzi, a powerhouse fighter, going head-to-head against the colossal monster known as Scar King." In a moment, Steele was so overwhelmed, unable to fight back, getting kicked to the ground and disarmed by the Scar King. Subtitles: Steele, who had successfully counterattacked, thought the plot would take a turn, but Scar King was completely unimpressed. As the crystal in his hand lit up with white light, a pair of icy blue twin spears emerged behind the lava. The controlled snow demon didn't want to obey Scar King's orders, but under the crystal's suppression, it had no ability to resist, so it had to comply. With that hit, Steel's right hand blew off, and turning back, he saw Little Bean anxiously telling him to escape first, with no time for pride. Scar King wasn't going to let it slide, ordering an immediate pursuit, with the swarm of followers quickly closing in. Spotting the boulders above, the encircling people, feeling clever, hurried over, only to find the falling boulders crushing down. Steel looked up to see Little Bean saving his life. Injured Steel was already running on fumes, and without Little Bean, it would have been goodbye today. Following the attack's momentum, Steel found the Ivy tribe's village, crossing through the bio barrier, with Little Bean helping Steel walk. However, the followers quickly saw an empty void and a swirling vortex. Enjoying our story? Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll have even more exciting content to share with you.